Hey, I am Eduardo Ceballos. I am a 3D motion designer, and Star Wars Days is almost here, so I wanted to talk to you how Star Wars markets to you and me through their artwork. So we're going to start with the first Star Wars movie that was made in 1977, and this poster was done by hand. This is an illustration, like graphic design was made in that era. So what we can see in this image is a group of young people who have blasters in their hands, and there's explosions and effects going off on the background, and then we can see a dark figure in the background, and it's not all dark, it's not all black, it's actually bluish, so that we can see that there's bright colors going on here, and we can see that this is this is very colorful, so this must be tailored towards a younger audience. And this looks like an adventure, and there's like a moon shaped thing going on, so this must be on space. There's like a spaceship going on, so there are droids, robots. So basically this has to be a space adventure, and this is how they sold Star Wars for the first time. They had this poster made, but also they had a variation of it, and in this other variation, we can see that this is completely different. It's not tailored for the same audience. This is for a much more adult, older audience, and we can see Luke Skywalker, um, not as colorful. We can see this is actually more a muted um, design, and Luke Skywalker is holding a lightsaber, and we can see Leia sitting right next to him, and in the background we can see also Darth Vader's helmet um, looking upon them. So we will see that throughout history, on almost every poster, Star Wars have relied heavily on their characters, especially their main characters and their villains also. They had always said the very main character in the dead center. Right there in the first poster, we can see Luke Skywalker sitting right there in the front, right dead in center. And also, they had the villains of the movie um, occupy a much greater space in the poster, but they're going to be in the background, far behind them, far behind all of them. And we can see this throughout history, throughout all the posters. Now, when we move to the second movie, which is The Empire Strikes Back, and we can see a Darth Vader helmet on a space background, basically with the title and everything going on. So this is much darker, and this is telling the audience that this is more serious. This is not an adventure. This is not as for kids as the previous movie was. This is more intense and darker. So they tell us all this through their artwork, and they are letting us know that this is not for children anymore. This is not as colorful. This is going to be very serious. So they're targeting already their audience. So if children, so right away, children are not going to be, they're not going to be drawn to this because it's not as colorful. There are not many relatable characters. So this is going to be more for adults, maybe young adults, and since it's still a space movie and it's more of a young adult genre, so basically through the poster they communicate this. So we move to the next movie, and we can see also a very serious, it's more of a synthesis also. Luke Skywalker probably holding a lightsaber, a blue lightsaber by the way, in this poster. So it's again, what they're communicating here, it's basically that this is going to be a battle. There's going to be lightsabers. It's going to be in space, as we can also see in the background. Some stars, and there's a planet, or maybe the Death Star, and the title. So we can also see this poster. It's somewhat reminiscent of the Jaws poster, the way it's the lockdown of the distribution of elements and everything looks somewhat similar. So it's from that very time period, and so we can see how the movies themselves and the poster have evolved through time, and we can see how it started out as mostly it was a movie tailored or a movie marketed towards children, how it evolved over the years to be targeted to young adults. So as we move forward in time, we will arrive at The Phantom Menace, which is the first movie of the prequels. And we can see in the poster here, we're going to see the same pattern again repeating. We're going to have the hero, the main character, in the center of the poster. And we can see that the villain is far behind, with a much greater area covering the whole background. Basically, this is Darth Maul, and in the front we have Anakin Skywalker as a young boy, and then there are other characters surrounding him, and basically we can see that for all three of the movies of the prequels, we're going to have the same thing going on. We have for the second movie, The Attack of the Clones, we're going to have Anakin Skywalker right there, but he's going to be further behind. It's going to be closer to what we've been given so far as the villain. Although Anakin Skywalker, as you know in this movie, he's not necessarily the villain, but you know. And in the Death Center we have Jango Fett, which he's not the main character, but everything from this point on in the Clone Wars revolves around him, basically. So, and then on the last movie, to close this arc of this trilogy of the prequels, we have still Anakin Skywalker in the center, and we have Darth Vader far in the back, and then we have two people fighting with lightsabers, and we can see that throughout all the posters that we can see from the first movie and moving forward, the lightsaber is going to be a very important element that's going to be present throughout all the Star Wars movies, at least for the main storyline. Then we move forward to the newer Star Wars, the sequels, the sequel trilogy. So we can see that these also takes another leap forward. They are similar, again, in the same pattern that we have the heroes, we have the villains, we have all the characters in this poster, in this artwork. We're going to have the lightsabers, and we're going to have all those elements going on. What is different from this point on? What makes it a little bit more interesting is it's far more modern and looks more refined. But we're going to have a color play with colors. Now, on the first movie, The Force Awakens, we can see in the poster that it will have a bluish, maybe a little bit violet tone on the background of the heroes and the lining for the heroes, and then we're going to have through the villains the red tone. So it's very clear which are the good guys and which are the bad guys. And we see that Rey is right in the middle. Rey is the protagonist of the movies, so she is in the middle, we can tell. But she is right in between the blue light, which is going to be the light side of the Force, and the red part of the poster, which is going to be the dark side of the Force. So this communicates that Rey is right there in between the two forces, in between the two sides of the Force, and she's pretty much a balancing character. So that's what the poster is giving us. That's what it's telling us. And is this what the movie is about? You may have your own opinions on this, but the poster could be very ambiguous, and that's no problem with that, because the poster is not supposed to tell the story, the whole story. It's just a marketing tool, so you get interested and you can go see the movie, right? Now, The Last Jedi is a movie that created a rift in the Star Wars fandom community. It was really, really, it really divided the whole community. Fans were fighting among each other whether they liked the movie or not, and here we have a poster which breaks away from what we had as an evolution, basically. So, starting from the poster, this movie already was breaking the Star Wars rules of how they were communicating, how they were doing things. So we have an entirely red. It's almost a monochromatic red, except for the blue lightsaber. We don't have the main character in the middle anymore. We have, well, maybe if you have a Kylo and Rey, both of them sitting in the middle, but now you have Luke Skywalker in the background. You don't have the villain. You have a secondary hero in this movie. So in this poster, they do have the characters. They still keep the same. They keep relying on the characters, and they do a little bit of the same posing and same action-driven thing, which still pretty appealing. But also the colors is magnificent. It's great. I love this design, but it breaks away from what they've been doing in the past. So my point is this: they had a communication strategy which was working great for them, and we can see in this poster they broke away from this. They pretty much just say, well, we're going to do something different here. We don't care. So starting with the poster, they said, well, we're going to do something different. I hope the fans love it or not. I don't care. We did something different. So let's see what happened. And we all saw what happened. I don't have to tell you. So moving forward to the last movie in this sequel trilogy, we have The Rise of Skywalker, and we see that they did also a step back to what they were sort of doing, even with the poster. So we can see they're very similar. The poster for the Force Awakens and The Rise of the Skywalker poster, they're very similar. So we can see that there's a progression between the first and the last one. And we can see that in the last one, the colors are far more brighter. There's a lot of blue. There's very intense. It's not as dimmed. And the red is actually more opaque. It's more in the background. It's more dimmed, rather. And we can see this in the poster. We see Rey right in the middle. She's in the center, but she's not as small. She's quite the focused figure. And we see Kylo Ren, which is we can say this is the villain of the movie. It's right in the distance, right there in the background. So with this poster, they just went back to their roots and what they were doing. But I mean, keeping it fresh with the color, with the design. So it's still pretty good poster. But they just respected their own thing that they were doing. So now these posters are just the movie posters, the main ones, and they're all trying to communicate the same thing. They're just trying to get you to go to the movies. That's all they are there for, and for fans to enjoy, of course. But their mission is to get people drawn in to get that ticket, to buy that movie, to buy that book, to buy that game. And that is the purpose of this artwork, to engage with people visually and to get them to buy the product. So we can see that they did a few variations also of the main posters, and these are also marketing material which they use to promote the movie, just not as the main posters that I showed you before. We can see that for the first movie, for the Force Awakens, we can see a scene of the movie. Here we have the Millennium Falcon. Well, they're just going head to head. those TIE fighters and the Millennium Falcon on the desert planet, and this is what you can see. This is telling us that there's going to be spaceships fighting in this movie, and this movie should have some of these type of actions. So if you like these type of actions, this is probably a movie for you. And then we have an alternative poster for the second movie, The Last Jedi. We have a variation of their own poster. Now it's still all red theme. Basically, it's 90% of the whole thing is red. Also, all the marketing material they switched from going Star Wars white on a darker background to go to a Star Wars all black or red on a white background. And after the poster, in the image, we can see everything red. The sky's red, the characters are red, except for that blue lightsaber that's kind of like shooting up into the sky that Rey's holding. And we can see characters on the background, and we see also again Kylo Ren at a big scale, but on a bigger scale we see Luke Skywalker, which again it's breaking away from all they've been telling us all these years, unless they wanted to communicate that Luke Skywalker is actually the villain. But he wasn't. We all know this. So next and finally on the poster on this alternative, which I think these sets of posters for these last sequel movie for the Rise of Skywalker, all this artwork is magnificent. It's great. It's some of the best that there is, and they play a lot with the two colors, the blue and the red. But this time the blue color is overwhelming, and it's mostly blue. And this just tells us that blue or light side is winning over the dark side, which is red. And this is all they've been telling us. So this is what they're communicating, basically. We have the villain in the background also, again, just like all the others, all the previous posters. So now this poster, I frequently love this poster, and they use this artwork and all this through their communications for a lot of their marketing material for other things. And I really love this design, how it came together. It looks kind of like a dance between Kylo and Rey, and we can see how the red and the blue are blending together, and they're intertwining, just like these characters are. And it's just the dark side and the light side, and they're coming together, and it's just beautiful. It's just a magnificent piece of art, and to me this is like one of the best. This is my ultimate favorite, actually, of all the posters. Even though it's not an official poster, and it is official artwork, but it's really, really, really great. That's pretty much what anyone who's trying to sell a story should have as a marketing material. Basically, an image, a collage, or a composite image that will not tell the whole story, just engage with the target audience, intrigue them enough to get them to pick up that story, to get that movie, to get that comic book, to get a book, to get that whatever it is. If you have characters in it, characters are a very powerful tool to engage with people. So marketing studies say that if you have a face on your cover, on your artwork, it will be more engaging, or people will engage more easily with that face rather than with an abstract image. So that's something that any designer should keep in mind when designing for any type of story. The characters are very important to keep in the artwork, because it engages with more ease than abstract objects or art. video, hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. And may the force be with you.